Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm just going to talk about the possibility of getting aggressive clients. And that, I always find that interesting anyway because, as therapists, one of the things you kind of we want in the room is for people to be able to deal with their feelings, and it kind of puzzles me a little bit when you hear of therapists setting, I know, understand boundaries around how to become aggressive, but that nobody's allowed to be angry around them. And when you think of the full kind of complement of emotions that we have, it's might sound, this feels to me a little unfair to be saying to people, well, you can feel sadness and you can feel, despair, you can feel all these kinds of things, you can feel your anxiety, we can work with that. But when it comes to anger, I'm not going to let that in the room. So it kind of puzzles me. So the thing I would say is, your part of the therapy process is the rupture repair anyway, and in rupture you're probably going to experience aggression. So there's certain levels of aggression you're willing to tolerate, and once you can contain it in the room, it can be quite safe. I've worked in centres where people, not necessarily clients, so I worked in a centre where a person walked in or gained access to the centre, and there was only myself and another female therapist in the centre at the time. And I'd been in a different room doing my notes, and they were upstairs. And when they came downstairs, I heard a bit of commotion, and the person was very violent, very aggressive. And I exited the room I was in, and I realised what was happening, and they gained entry. They gained entry illegally, and you go down a different path here. You could say things like, you're breaking the law, you're not allowed in here. But very clearly, the female therapist was very terrified and didn't know what to do and how to manage it in this sense. And as I said, when you work in the public system, public service for a few years, you realise, people are people and you're going to meet aggression. So I was just able to manage it and de escalate and say, it's okay, come on, we'll just go outside. And unfairly, if you think of the big picture, the person was given the wrong address and been promised a bed in a premises, and they arrived in our centre which didn't have beds, and they didn't believe that they thought they were lied to. And we could understand the regression, so it was okay. It was like, I don't know, this isn't the place. I know what you're saying. Come on, we'll show you. Get you outside and say the place is here, and that was fine. And all the centre I'd walked into, it was terrifying. I've been at the centre of being this, and it's not about male female thing. It's generally when you're walking on your own in a premises, and someone quite aggressive walks in or walks up to you, it can be quite scary. So what happens if this person is in the room with you and they're really aggressive and they're shouting and screaming demands at you? First thing I would actually name it. I would say to them, I notice you're getting very aggressive here. You're getting very agitated and angry. And if they say, yeah, of course I'm getting fucking angry. If you can't de-escalate it through normal, very nice, calm talk, there's no going. They're not going to de-escalate. If they become aggressive, I would encourage you to get out of the room, let them wreck the place, let them do they want it, but your safety is more important. Um, Solo responders, so solo workers. Sorry, that's a Freudian slip. Solo workers, lone workers. If you're in a place and you're going to walk in it into a late evening, or you're going to walk on your own in a premises, even if it's a big business where there's a load of different people walking in the area, I would actually encourage you to put your seat next to the door. So it's all about your design. Now, in my premise, in my room here, you can see a little bit of it here. Behind me are the couches where the client sits, and to my right there's a seat here, and I sit on the left. Now, my seats are always next to the door, and that's design. I'm not going to put myself over at the back wall and have the client here that I have to go through the client to escape. So it's really worth when you're designing your premises. Not saying that all clients are going to, very, very rarely will a client become aggressive, but it is possible. It is actually possible, because we have to respect that we are all dealing with these emotions every day. And if the client is in the room and they are just triggered or something comes up for them and they've no other outlet and you're it, we'll let them vent. Once they're contained, once it's not going to wreck the place, once it's not going to do any harm or damage or anything like that, and we can get them, if we can de-escalate and get them down to a safe space that they're not going to harm themselves, they're not going to harm you or your premises, then we could talk about it. So it's just that place of saying, actually, here, I notice when you're talking to, you're getting quite aggressive, is okay if we talk about that aggression. And as we say, the anger and that kind of thing is the secondary emotion, so it's really important, really so valuable to be able to say to them. And once they can able to talk, but yeah, I am very aggressive, I'm very angry, blah blah blah. And normally what can happen then is they'll turn around and say, okay, maybe I went off the handle a little bit there, I didn't mean it, what I meant was this. And don't want an apology, it's just okay, everyone's safe here. But it's important to name it. I feel it's important to name it, that if the aggression is getting too much for you to handle and you're feeling, oh, what's happening in my body here, I feel unsafe, I feel I need to run out of the room, I would actually name it in the room. Look, um, your aggression is getting a little bit, your voice, your tone of voice is a little bit, a little bit loudy. All right, can I help you with anything? Can we bring it down a little bit? Can we discuss this? Can we discuss what triggered you? It might be something you said it. I certainly have said things in therapy where someone has misinterpreted it, or I've just said the wrong thing at the wrong time, and they've gone off. And it allows me then to say, actually, that's not what I intended to say at all. I apologise. That's the way it was taken up. I didn't mean that. What I meant was, and then you go, oh, actually, yeah. But the anger stuff is brilliant, because then we can deal with the, actually, you went off on one day. Can I talk about that? Now, some things might be how you decorate the room. Like I decorate the room my taste. It's my room. It's my taste. And the client might say, I don't like how you decorated this room. Um, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. I decorate the room for my therapy, how I practice, and I don't design it by individual taste stuff. People that are coming in, it's for me. It's my room. I spend all my time here, but I'm really interested in talking about this. What do you not like about the room? Well, I don't like that picture there. Can you tell me what that picture does for you? Well, it makes me feel. It reminds me of bang. You've dealt with something. Something now is coming into the room. So I would actually, I wouldn't be one that would say, well, I don't deal with aggression, and I wouldn't be one that would say, you'll never see aggression. If you're seeing tears, if you're seeing pain, you're bound to see aggression. So it's only about just protecting yourself. Put yourself in a position where you're safe, they're safe, and if you need to continue, continue. If you need to end, that it's safe to end. If you can't get them out of the room, I'd say to you for you to get out of the room, and deal with it again at a later stage. If it's something that's violence related, or it's just gone beyond it, you obviously, if you work on your own, you're going to need support from guards and stuff like that. Potentially, I would actually encourage people to get like cameras, ring doorbells, so people are seeing when they come. That's always needed in a contract. Or some house systems, my house system has an alarm with a camera, so I can see everyone that comes and goes in my premises. And if I need it to, they're always on camera. So you're never going to be at risk in that sense, that nobody's ever going, you're not going to know who's coming into the house. Anyway, I hope that helps. And if you have any questions or queries, just let me know in the comments, or you can contact me privately. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.